Learning how to play ARK is one of the most complicated things to do. You have all kinds of stuff in this game, and it is just completely frustrating, annoying, and most of all, confusing. So today, I'm going to teach you my top 50 tips and tricks that I wish that I knew before playing ARK. Let's begin. Now first up, we have weight reduction dinos. These are all of your weight reduction dinos, especially for mainly just early game stuff. First up, we have the Castroids or the Beaver. Now this is kind of obvious what he's mainly used for, and that is wood. As you can see here in my inventory, wood weighs 50. When you put it in his inventory, it weighs 25. So a 50% decrease on just weight. Then we have the Doedicurus, which is one of the best starter dinos for just farming stuff like stone and obsidian. He has a pretty good decrease as well. Instead of 50 in your inventory, it goes down to 12.5 in his. Then we have the Ankylo. These are your two main dinos that you're most likely going to get at the beginning, just saying. The Ankylo mainly consists of doing this with metal and stone. So stone actually stays about the same, it doesn't really go down, but metal goes down significantly. A stack of metal goes from 300 to 45, which is a major decrease. Highly recommend him for metal, and he's going to be your main dino that you're going to use for metal up until late game. Then we have the Mammoth, which is one of the more overlooked dinos, but he still has a pretty big weight reduction on wood. As you can see, it goes from 50 down to 12.5, and he does also have some buffs and stuff on him, which does help a little bit more. Then we have the Argentavis. Now the Argentavis is a little different. He has weight reduction for pretty much everything. So this can be resources, items, armor, all kinds of stuff. But it goes from about 50 to 25. It is a 25% reduction on most items in ARK. Not all items, but most. He also doubles as a smithy, but I'll cover that more in a little bit. We then have the Roll Rat, which can be found on Aberration. Now this guy mainly consists of weight reduction, but for wood and fungal wood. Now shockingly, he is the best weight reduction dino on this list for wood, going down to 10 instead of 50. Highly recommend him if you're on Aberration. Then we have the Dire Bear, and while this guy isn't technically weight reduction, he has a really big buff when it comes to honey. As you can see, a piece of honey in my inventory lasts 18 minutes, versus in his inventory lasts an hour and 15 minutes. I figured I would kind of toss it in here. Then we have the Bronto. Now the Bronto's a little weird. He used to have weight reduction, and it's kind of hard to tell if he still does or not. When you put stuff like wood in his inventory, it doesn't really go down. But I swear they used to have weight reduction, plus I'm still seeing it everywhere that they still technically do have weight reduction. For some odd reason, feels like he doesn't have it anymore. But yeah, these are all of your main weight reduction dinos that you're going to use at the beginning. Of course, there's some extras, but these are your main ones. Highly recommend taming one of these, especially the Argentavis, Ankylo, and the Doedicurus. Now technically off the same list of dinos, this is the best farming dinos. Now everything that I showed you before is a good farming dino, except here are some additions. Now this is not every good farming dino, just to be clear. I'm mainly just going over the early game stuff. So first up, you have the Mantis. Now Mantis is a little bit more complicated to get, but the coolest thing about this guy is that you can attach pickaxes, hatchets, swords, all kinds of stuff, and you can go and literally just farm stuff like this. But it's an interesting way to farm, but you can harvest resources with the Mantis, which is kind of cool. We then have the Castroids or the Beaver. This guy is really good at farming wood for the most part. Don't really have to show you him, it's kind of common sense. We then have the Doedicurus. He's really good at farming stone and obsidian. Just simply walk up and hit. And he also has a pretty cool ability. If you hold down, if you hit right click, he can actually roll. It's kind of cool. We then have the Ankylo. Again, I already covered him, but he's really good at farming metal. Just take him with either a Garkinos, Quetzal, or a Rhinogothia, anything like that. And, well, you can farm a lot of metal. Just saying, the Argy and the Anky are great dinos to farm together. So, speaking of that, let's go over the Argentavis. Now, while he isn't good at actually farming anything, he's really good at taking things with him. Now, he's a little encumbered right now from all the stuff on the Anky, but these are the best duo dinos for just farming stuff. The Anky and the Doed as well. They work great with the Argentavis. Then we have the Mammoth, which is really good at farming wood. I mean, it's kind of common sense. He has really good tusks, he can hit hard, and farm a good amount of wood. We then have the Dire Bear, and he is amazing at farming bee honey. So if you ever see a beehive or something, go up to it and harvest it with a Dire Bear, and he will farm a significant amount of bee honey. Then we got the Roll Rat, which is also good at farming wood. Not my go-to, but definitely a decent one. Then we have the Therizino, arguably one of the best dinos for farming just in general, because he can harvest stuff like fiber, and a lot of it too. He can also harvest stuff like wood, and a lot of wood as well. He's really good at harvesting meat. For the most part, he's honestly probably one of the best dinos on this list, and I highly recommend getting him. Then we got the Megatherium, which is amazing at farming chitin or just keratin from bugs. Simply walk up to it, and he does have a buff effect after you kill a bunch of bugs. His tusk will turn kind of purple-ish, and he'll have like a glow, and which attracts a lot of bugs, and then he can farm a lot of chitin. Then we have the frog, or the bezel buffalo. Now this thing is amazing at farming cementing paste, chitin, keratin, all kinds of stuff. Take him to any kind of cave or swamp cave on the island, and he will farm a crazy amount of cementing paste, and I mean like a stupid amount. And then we have the Bronto, which the Bronto is amazing at farming stuff like berries, but that's about it. He's only really good at that, but if you're looking to farm a lot of berries, he has a massive hit range too, like he can hit all around him, except Bronto is one of the more overlooked things, and well, the Maywing is probably going to be your better option eventually when that comes out. Then we have the Phoenix, and while he technically isn't good at farming anything, he's amazing if you put metal in him. As you can see here, if you put metal into his inventory, he actually turns into a portable forge. After a second, he'll craft the metal into ingots. Pretty insane. And lastly, we got the Rock Golem. Now this guy is a little bit of a more harder thing to tame, as you need to get cannons and all that to tame him. But overall, he's actually pretty overpowered. And when you come over here, you can harvest stuff like stone, and he harvests an okay amount of it. I wouldn't recommend him for, a permanent thing for farming stone, but if you need something else compared to a Doed, I would recommend getting him. Now, ARK does have a lot of things that you just need to know, but one thing that you definitely need to know is Mitra 9. Mitra 9 is a non-alcoholic supplement that quite literally makes you feel good. These drinks give you a high, but without the impairment. They have a ton of great flavors, my favorite being root beer. If you're looking for a new drink to replace your coffee in the morning, Mitra is the way to go. Simply go to mitra9.com and use my code OUTCAST for 25% off your entire order. Now, back to the video. An amazing tip for trying to lure dinos off of you is basically, for example, if you're over here and you're getting a wyvern egg from a wyvern scar, most early game players are going to be, it's a little scary at first, but it ain't that bad. So let's say that you just grabbed a wyvern egg. Now most wyverns are going to be aggroed onto you. Like for example, here's this guy. Oh no, he got aggroed. Now he's gonna hurt for a second, unless you can try to outmaneuver him. But if you can, all you need to do is just basically fly over here, like into a field or something, and lead him into a pack of dinos. So for example, here's this. I'm gonna do another little dive bomb. And if you just lead him into a pack of dinos, he's gonna get distracted. And just like that, he's off your tail. It's literally that simple to bring dinos off. Now, I highly recommend getting out of there as quick as you can, because after he kills said dino, his aggro is right back onto you. So yeah, actually a pretty helpful tip that a lot of players still don't know about. I highly recommend doing it. One of the most overlooked tips that I see so many players messing up on is eating narco berries. Now when you harvest these bushes, as you can see here, you get a lot of berries. Now one thing a lot of players really mess up on is this. So as you can see in your inventory, you have all these berries. So you have the Azula berries, a Mad Berry, Tinto Berry, Medjo Berry, all that good stuff. Now these are known as stim berries. Do not eat those, it basically brings your food down. Like for example, if you eat one of these, see how your water drops? Don't eat those at all, because that's going to kill you. Now another thing that's going to kill you is narco berries. ARK doesn't really teach you what these are, they just make you learn. And if you eat a narco berry, well, your torpidity goes up. So if you eat enough of these things, your torpidity will go up, and once it hits about halfway, you just pass out. So let me show you what happens when you eat a lot of narco berries. Now yes, it technically gives you food, so you can do it if you really want to, but I really would highly not recommend it at all. So let's harvest a bunch of narco berries and I'll show you what will happen. So let's eat all 35 of these narco berries, just to show you. This may not even do it for me. Also, just a little heads up, stim berries are basically the opposite of a narco berry, so if you ate too many of them, eat a bunch of stim berries and it will cancel itself out and then you'll be fine. But yeah, it takes a good amount of narco berries to knock you out. It takes a good chunk of time. But if you see on the far right part of your screen, you'll see those stars that are moving up. If you see that moving, you messed up. So just be careful. Another thing that could cause you to pass out is Titan boas, sometimes bugs, all kinds of stuff, and especially Trudons, so just be careful. Now let's say that you just tamed another PT. So for example, you're flying around, found a Galileo PT, got him tamed up, and well, now you gotta whistle him back to base and try and fly and keep him on your tail. It's really frustrating, isn't it? Well, there's this thing called a cryopod, and well, this thing actually helps you quite a bit. Simply walk up and just hold left click on a dino until it goes into a cryopod. Then you can just hop back on your PT and you're good to go. It's literally that simple. Now some downsides of a cryopod is that, like on official, you can't really toss them out without a cryo fridge and all that. It's a little frustrating. But when you toss them out, you also do have a timer for 300 seconds. If you try to throw them out again after, while the timer is still on, let me show you what happens. This is what happens. he goes unconscious, and then you have to wait for him to wake up. A big thing that a lot of new players mess up on is this. They always toss a dino out and it gets cryo-sticked, and when you toss something out like a rock golem, you're waiting there for 2 hours. So be careful about this, just always watch that timer. But if you're just going to use this for taming, I highly recommend using cryopods. It will make your life tremendously easier. And for example, you tame like a Rex or something, you can go back on your bird, go home and toss your Rex out versus walking him back. I remember in the old days when we had to use Quetzals to bring stuff back to base. It sucked. Next up, we have tech dinos. Now, these tech dinos can be found all over the place. You can find stuff like tech Parasaurs, tech Rexes, tech Quetzals, all kinds of stuff. Except if you're on Extinction, you're going to find a lot more of them. So for example, you'll find some of these little guys. Now, these are defense units, and it's probably a little loud from them right now. But defense units give you certain items which are very, very helpful for a new player. Now, this isn't just with the defense units, it's used for many other dinos like the tech dinos. It's anything tech will give you these resources. When you harvest them, as you can see there, it gave me quite a bit. So it gives you oil, sometimes element dust, electronics, and scrap metal. Now scrap metal is just metal. Electronics are used for major things like turrets. Oil is used for a lot of stuff like gasoline or crafting certain things like an indie forge. Element dust, after you get 1,000, can craft 1 element. So be fair, tech dinos are actually very, very useful starting off. So I highly recommend starting on Extinction, get your explorer notes, and kill a lot of tech dinos. It'll get you geared up a little quicker than, usual. Now when starting off, I highly recommend skipping this. So when you're gonna go ahead and start to build your base, you have the option to build a thatch, wood, or stone. These are your 3 main starting things, and I would highly recommend skipping thatch and wood altogether. Go straight to stone, because stone can be only damaged by C4, grenades, pretty much anything that will take a little bit for a new player to get. And you can't damage this by hand, you can't damage this one by hand, but you can damage thatch by hand. Thatch is very, very weak, and if you get something like a pickaxe or a hatchet, you can damage wood. So the average player can sit here for, it's going to take them a good chunk, but they can sit here for about 10 to 15 minutes and just harvest this until they get into your base. When you try to do that with stone, as you can see, it takes significantly longer. Like that will take them hours to get into a base by doing this method. So yeah, just go ahead and skip the stone. It's not that expensive to craft, and it's really easy to get. Don't go thatch or wood. I just highly recommend not doing it. Now, a lot of new players mess this up, and that is knowing the difference between official servers and unofficial servers. Official servers are servers that are hosted by Studio Wildcard, which is the developers of ARK, and they host them on an official network. Now, this has ticket support, this has all kinds of stuff, but I would not recommend it for a new player. Official is only 1x rates, and that will take you hours to get one simple tactic done. Especially on a PvP server where people already know what they're doing, you're going to get raided pretty quickly, and it's going to irritate you because you just wasted 20 hours trying to build up just for a guy to come over there and take everything in about 10 minutes. So there's this other thing called unofficial. Unofficial are basically paid for servers by players. So these players will go over here and host servers through these networks, and while they can have boosted rates, they can have custom stuff, custom mods, all kinds of stuff. So I'd highly recommend doing this, as it allows you to just play ARK better, especially if you don't have as much time. If you sell your soul to this game, official is there for you. But if you don't want to be, if you don't want to have your soul sold to ARK, play unofficial or play single player, and it will allow you to kind of adjust the stats to where you want it to be. Highly recommend it. Here's a video on screen about how to teach you how to just find unofficial and what servers to play. I highly recommend watching this. It is a crucial, important thing that a lot of new players need to know. Now we have bolas. Now bolas are these little tiny things in your hand, and they're pretty easy to craft. I think they craft at level, 10 or 15-ish, I forget. But bolas are useful for a lot of important things starting off. For example, you can bola stuff like dinos, and then they get kind of trapped. Sorry for the grass here, kind of hard to show you, but let me go ahead and try to bola this PT. So if you're an MLG pro like me, you can kind of just toss it up. As I was saying, if you're an MLG pro like me, you can just toss it up, and you can usually hit a PT pretty easily. That's crazy, that should have hit him. So you can just kind of toss it up, and as you can see there, you kind of hit them out of the sky. Now this is really useful when taming stuff like a PT, because then you can kind of punch them out, or try to knock him out with some trinks, and he literally can't move. Versus if he didn't have a bola on him, he'd be able to fly away. Like for example, I just knocked out a PT that easily with a bola and my fists, and this is on official stats. Bolas are also very useful for PvPing, as you can just kind of bola a player, and then they will also get trapped. Like, I can also bola myself, so if you kind of go with the bola, you can bola yourself, and then you can't really move. Okay, I think it's because I'm on single player and I have the wrong setting on, but you can usually bola yourself, and then you're stuck, and then you can get killed, so you gotta be careful how you use bolas, but highly recommend them for a lot of things. They're very important. Then we have the Argentavis. Now the Argentavis is one of the most important starter dinos on ARK because of a couple reasons. Now when you go into his inventory, normally without a saddle, there's nothing there, right? But when you put a saddle on him, he turns into a portable smithy, meaning anything that you can make in a smithy, you can now make inside of your Argentavis, which is very, very powerful. He also has a pretty big weight reduction, like I told you in the past. I should have told you this a little bit earlier. But he is a pretty decent flyer for what he is. He can move relatively quickly, hold a lot of resources, help with farming with other dinos. Highly recommend getting an Argentavis. It's extremely simple to tame them as well. You just gotta guide them into a trap, or you can chain bola them, which is a little more expensive. But highly recommend getting one, as they are a very crucial dino that you need to have. Trust me, invest in an Argentavis. A big one that a lot of new players overlook is building in a compact style, or building a compact base. Most players like to build these just giant bases, like a 10 by 10 or something, and well, that's gonna get you raided, or it's just gonna be very expensive for PvE. But here's what a compact base looks like. It fits everything that you will need as a starter in here on 2 levels. So you got all your forges, which are your starter things, got a generator, nice little vault wall. You don't need anything more than this, especially if you're a solo or a duo. This is all that you need for storage. Got your bed. Downstairs, got your chem bench, that's a little bit later on. Got a refrigerator, cooking pot, preserving bin, another vault in the corner for extra storage, a cryo fridge, 2 fabricators, which you might need a little more, a smithy, 2 more vaults. This is literally all that you need when starting out. Of course, you're going to put turrets on your base, maybe put an indie forge up top eventually, but you do not need anything more than this. Again, don't do this method with the pillars. I just did it for just aesthetic reasons. But I'm telling you right now, if you're starting off, this is all that you need. And even then, you don't even need all of this. Now, next up, we have the whistle menu. Now, the whistle menu is basically this menu, and it just has a bunch of different kinds of whistles on it, which works best with just dinos and just trying to kind of guide them, or whistling follow, stuff like that. A lot of new players mess this up, and a lot of experienced players still mess this up. So let me teach you how to do it. But first, if you guys don't subscribe, I will kill this dodo. I'm not kidding. Go hit the subscribe button right now, or he gets it in the nose. Anyways, got you there. Just kidding. Let me spawn in one of his buddies. Okay, he has a friend now. I didn't kill him. Anyways, so here is the whistle menu. Now, first of all, to open up the whistle menu, hold down T on your keyboard, and then it's B on Xbox, and I don't know the button for PS4 or PS5. Anyways, up here, as you can see, you have whistle follow all, whistle follow 1, whistle stop 1, whistle aggressive, whistle attack my target, whistle neutral, whistle passive flee, whistle passive, whistle attack this target, whistle land flyer, emotes, and poop. Now, first off, let's start with this. The land flyer one, basically, as long as you're aiming at a flyer, it will go and it will land, because a lot of flyers have an issue with trying to land because their AI is messed up. Very, very useful. Then we have whistle follow all. Now, instead of using the menu, here are the keybinds. Now, follow all is just J. That is follow all. Now, if you're in a big tribe and you hit J, I'm not even going to tell you what they're going to do to you, but don't do it unless you want to do it. But yeah, I'll just say that. Next up, we have whistle follow 1. Now, whistle follow 1 is T. So for example, if I aim over there, it doesn't work. If you aim at the dino and whistle follow T, he follows. It's pretty much that simple there. Next up, we have whistle stop all. Now, whistle stop all is U. This stops all dinos from coming up to you. It just stops all of them from following. It's very, very useful. Next up, we have whistle stop 1. Now, to stop 1, simply just hit Y. And then we have attack my target, which is the eagle sign. I don't know why it whistled. So hit the eagle sign. As you can see there, it says attack my target. Now, if you also want to whistle all neutral, just do the minus sign that is right next to it. That is neutral. Now, if you want to also whistle all passive, it is the little tilde sign. It is the dot and the comma sign. Simply hit that, and your dino will be set to passive. So it is that easy. Aggressive is in the menu. I don't know why the keybind is not working. It could just be my keyboard. But yes, you got neutral. And then whistle passively, you have to do it on here. I don't believe there is a button for passive flee, to be honest with you. attack this target is a little confusing. It's the same as the other one. It just basically means attack this target. So if you whistle it at a dino, the dino will go over to it and just attack it. So yeah, pretty simple. Hopefully I was able to teach you about the menus and how all the keybinds work. Very, very helpful. But you got J for whistle all. T is going to be your main one that you're going to be using a lot. So I'll just say that. Now, if you're in the snow a lot, something that is very useful that a lot of your players also overlook is your fortitude. Now here are all your stats. As you can see, you have health, stamina, oxygen, food, water, height, melee, crafting skill, and fortitude. Fortitude is what keeps you from overheating. It's what keeps you from being too cold. So go ahead and upgrade it. It should upgrade in increments of 2. And what I would recommend for the snow is at least 50, but roughly about 60 to 70. That's about that little sweet spot in there. And that should help with cold, it should help with heat. But yeah, if you don't upgrade that, you will die significantly fast. So you need to make sure that you always pay attention to your fortitude, or just always pay attention to your stats. Now, one thing that I see a lot of new players mess up on is taming. Now, when you tame a dino, you're gonna go ahead and shoot it, and then it's gonna be knocked out. So here's a Parasaur. Let's go ahead and knock him out. Just to show you, this is how a dino looks when it's knocked out. And as you can see, there is this nice little purple bar right there. This is basically his unconscious bar. Once this hits 0, the dino will then wake up, and that is not good. Now, how to counter this is to use narcotics or narco berries. Narco berries, I should have taught you earlier in the video. Simply just use one of the narcotics, and then his torpidity will go right back up. Now, if this guy could leave me alone, then I could actually teach you guys how to do stuff. By the way, this is ARK. This is gonna happen to you all the time. So just be prepared. It's just how this game is. So yeah, anyways, this guy does not want to stop, but there he goes. Finally, he's finally flying away. Go away, buddy. Okay. Well, your team's probably almost dead from that now. Just saying, it's gonna happen. It's called getting arked. Welcome to the game. I say, and yeah, and as long as you just watch your food and you watch your torpidity, you should be fine. Make sure that this is always the highest that it possibly can be. For taming stuff like a Therizino or something, it's gonna be a struggle to kind of keep it up. Just keep watching it and you should be fine. Oh, and also never punch your dino, because punching it will get the unconscious meter up, but it messes up your tame. So don't ever walk up to a dino and be like, oh no, he's about to wake up. Don't ever do this, because that's first of all how you kill your dino, and that's how you mess up your tame stats. Don't do that. Now, something that a lot of new players don't know for some odd reason, I always keep seeing this in my comments, this is for the people that are really, really dumb. If you've never played a survival game, I don't know why you don't know this, but anyways, that is picking up stones, picking up fibers to kind of get going. ARK does have a menu for Survival Evolved to kind of teach you there, but Ascended never got that. So when you first spawn in, you're gonna spawn in on a beach kind of like this, and the first thing that you're gonna wanna get is stone. Stone is very obvious to find, except there are some rocks that look like it should be picked up, but you unfortunately just can't. But you just kind of run around on the beach until you get enough stone to make a pickaxe. It's very simple. I don't know why I keep seeing so many comments about this. It feels like I'm talking to a bunch of mentally brain dead people. But yeah, anyways, then you kind of walk over here, you know, get your bushes for fiber, get all just wood and stuff. And oh yeah, punch trees. I mean, have you guys never played Minecraft before? I mean, kind of common sense. But yeah, you just punch trees to get your wood. And you get wood and thatch. Get your fiber. It's kind of common sense, guys. Just saying. But yeah. Next up, we have having a proper hotbar. A lot of players that are new and experienced still mess this up to this day, and this is an example of a hotbar. Now, having a pickaxe and a hatchet is optional. I only do it because I farm a lot, and that is kind of my go-tos, just to have both of them on me. And if one of them does break, I still have something else to harvest with. Then you have a sword. This is again optional, but I just recommend having some kind of main melee weapon if you're getting picked by somebody, you know, can kind of just whack them. Bolas. Don't forget bolas. I covered this earlier. One of the most important things in this game to always have. Then a crossbow. This is more meant for kind of grapples, but you can use this as well for just knocking out dinos and stuff. Then you have long neck. Again, another thing for knocking out dinos or just for shooting people. It's totally up to you. Then parachutes. Very crucial, very important if you ever get picked. You want to have parachutes. I always want to leave one hotbar kind of open for anybody that just kind of wants to put something there. Then a cryopod to have like a pocket dino or like a pocket gig or something. And food. Don't forget food. Huge important role. Make sure to always have that. And again, always have a full set of flak or something on you that is good durability, not almost broken, and always be checking that. Now, when taming, a big thing a lot of people don't know is that you can use regular meat to technically tame a creature, yes. But did you know getting prime meat actually is about 5 times better for your dino and also tames it a little bit quicker? By using raw prime meat, you can go ahead and put it in your dino when they are taming, and you can see it goes up a good chunk. Oops, I gotta feed it more. But yeah, it goes up a good chunk, and then you're able to tame your dino a lot quicker, and it gets better stats as well when it comes out. So yeah, for a good thing, go ahead and use Dododex and then find what meat is the best for your dino that you are taming. Highly recommend it. Basic controls are shockingly a little bit more complicated than I figured for a lot of new players, and as somebody who's played ARK for about 7 to 8 years now, I kind of thought it was common sense, but it actually turns out it's not. It's not as common sense as I thought. So if you don't know, when you hit settings, you are going to have this option for controls. Now it is called gamepad or keyboard, you can pick whatever, and it shows you all of your controls. Most players should automatically know this, it's kind of common sense, but I guess people don't really read directions anymore or read stuff in the menus, so I'll go ahead and just teach you in person. Now first up, you have left click. This is your hit animation, this is how you hit stuff. Right click is basically if you have like a gun or something, it allows it to kind of aim in or aim down the sight, and then you can, hit left click to fire. Now you have spacebar as your jump animation, of course, common sense. You have shift as your run, again off shift, on shift. You have control as another form of hitting. Then you have C as crouch. X is how you go prone, and you don't need to hit C first, you can just hit X and it goes fully prone on the ground. Those are pretty much your common ones right there. T is how you access chat in the menu as well, and it's also how you use some of your whistles like I just taught you. Kind of common sense though for the most part. Tab is for your menu. That is just using gamma, stuff like that, to kind of help make your game look a little better. M is for map, of course. If you double tap M, it opens up the full map. A lot of players and a lot of experienced people still don't even know about this. Double tapping M opens up this huge map. Then you have V, which opens up your entire menu. Allows you to kind of go over here. Now up here, you technically have buttons for these. I never use them though. I just go into my inventory and just kind of sort through these. But each of these does have your own button. You can memorize those. I'm not going to teach you that kind of stuff. You have skill tree and all this. But yeah, it's kind of common sense there. That's most of your common buttons that a lot of people need to know. Just go ahead and just either research your important ones that you need to use if you even need to use them. You really shouldn't, to be honest with you. But yeah, that's your most common buttons. A lot of people have been asking for proper controls or how to just pick up something off the ground. I don't know why, because I thought it was kind of common sense, but I will also just teach you again how to pick things up. You have to hit E. Hitting E is how you pick up most items off the ground, like bushes, rocks, tree branches, all that. Then when you want to walk up to a tree to get wood, left click. That's how you harvest things. It's common sense, guys. I mean, I don't know why I keep seeing so many comments about this. Like, I'm really not trying to be rude about this, but if you have never played a game in your life, I understand. But for most of you people who do play games, how do you not know what these common buttons are? It's in every single game. But yeah. Next up, we have basic things to get. Now, a lot of new players don't know about this, and it is a little bit of an important thing to know. That is just basic items to get. So in your inventory, when you first spawn in, you're going to have this engrams list, and it's basically just going to show you all of the engrams that you can unlock. Your first row is going to be stone pick, torch. These are added stuff from a mod that I have enabled, so ignore that. Campfire, stone hatchet, spear, cloth. Don't unlock all of these all at once, because you're not going to have enough points to, first of all. But basic stuff to get. Now, when you hover over it, it'll show you what items that are needed to craft that certain thing. Like for a stone hatchet, you need 1 flint, 1 wood, and 10 thatch. For a pick, you need 1 stone, 1 wood, and 10 thatch. So kind of common sense. So you're like, oh, well, where do I get wood? From trees. Pretty easy. But a lot of new players don't know where to get stone, and that is off of the beach. I should have already just taught you this a second ago. Now, a lot of these stones look like they're able to be picked up, but they're not. It's a part of the foliage that you can't touch. You have to basically run around spamming E until you find a rock. That is one major issue with ARK that I don't know why that they do this. But yeah, this is how you get stone. So simply just run around until you can find stone on the ground without getting attacked by every living dino on this game. Welcome to ARK. But yeah, that's how you get stone. That's how you get wood. Now, if you're wondering how to get thatch, thatch is also from trees. As you can see, I got thatch from right there. How to get fiber is from bushes. You can also get berries, which are a nice little tiny food source at the beginning. Again, I'm being killed by 1,000 dinos right now, but yep, that's kind of how things are. Those are your main resources that you really need. after you get a pickaxe, so let me go ahead and get a pickaxe. This is a metal pick. You're not going to get this one right away. And now you're probably wondering, well, how do I get flint? Because you can't just harvest a rock with your fist. You have to mine it with either a pickaxe or an axe. So as you can see there, you get flint, you get stone, maybe a little bit of metal as well. Then that's how you unlock the hatchet. You can do spear, you can do all that good stuff. So it should be common sense, but those are the main two that a lot of people are confused about just with how to get started. But yeah, pretty easy. Now, a big thing that a lot of new players definitely need to know, and is a very important, crucial thing, and that is how to split stacks. So for example, I have this big stack of meat right here. It has 40 things of meat in it. If that spoils one time, then you get one spoiled meat. If you do split stack and you split all, it splits it all, and then as you can see here, they all have that timer, which is for 13 seconds. So when that all hits 0, then it will spoil into spoiled meat. If you don't know, spoiled meat is used for things like narcotics, which is used for taming. Very, very important, and you definitely need this when starting off. So this I felt I would put on this list. And as you can see, after the timer is up, it takes a second, but it spoils all the meat all at once, and now you have a stack of 40 spoiled meat compared to one piece of spoiled meat from that stack. So yeah, you can also do it again if you really want to, but it just spoils it all into nothing. But pretty important, and to get it back into stacks, yeah, it kind of sucks. Or you can just drop all and just pick it back up, and you're good to go just like that. A little confusing at first, but very important. I'm telling you, one of the most important things when starting off if you're about to tame something. Next up, we have choosing PvP versus PvE. PvP versus PvE, it's a big, crucial step in how you choose to play ARK, and honestly, most games. Now, picking PvP, well, is player versus player. So, you're going to be playing on servers where people are going to be extremely toxic. That's how ARK is, that's how Rust is, that's how most of these kind of survival-styled games are. It's going to be very toxic, and as a new player, you need to learn everything that all of these people have known for 10 years. So there's a lot for you to learn. So starting off, highly would not recommend it. I would recommend PvE or single player. But anyways, we have PvE. There is no player versus player combat unless you want to, but that has to be agreed upon on both tribes. And most of the time, you're just fighting the environment. And I will admit, the environment's pretty harsh. It's pretty harsh to you. So if you want to deal with the harsh environment and the harsh players, you're going to hate your life. You're going to hate yourself. Because even to this day, whenever I still try to play, I still hate myself. So trust me, if you're picking PvP, just know there's going to be consequences. There's a lot that you got to deal with, like them raiding your base, and after, spending about 100 hours building a good base, you're going to log off for the first time or the second time, log back on, and everything's gone. That's just how ARK is. So yeah, for new players, PvE is the way to go, and then you can expand into PvP eventually, but you need to learn PvP first before you start actually building, because there's a lot to learn. But they're both phenomenal, except PvE has a much better player base, and they're a lot more friendlier with just how everything is. PvP is toxic, or you're going to get yelled at, you're going to hear words you didn't know existed. So yeah. A crucial thing that a lot of new players overlook as well, I know I keep saying that, but a lot of people definitely overlook this one, that is beds. So you have a sleeping bed, a simple bed, and a bunk bed. Those are the three main beds that you're going to need. And beds basically allow you to respawn, or you can sleep in them when you log off, but that doesn't really matter. So sleeping bag is a one-time use. You can put it down anywhere on the map. You can put it down in an enemy's foundation radius, technically speaking. And once you have this sleeping bed down, you can spawn on it one time. After you spawn once, the sleeping bag is gone, it is destroyed. Then you have a simple bed. So this can only be placed on a foundation. Simply just put it right down, literally right there. It says it in the name, simple. It's pretty simple. Now this is a permanent bed that does not get destroyed no matter what, unless a player comes up and destroys it. And they're relatively weak. They're pretty easy to take down for the most part. You can take it down with a hatchet pretty quickly. But if you're in a base that's pretty secured, you shouldn't really need any problems with this. Then you have the bunk bed. Now the bunk bed is basically, well, it's a bunk bed. It's made out of metal, so you can't hit it with your fists. You have to only take it down using C4 or getting out the foundation from underneath it. But the nice thing about this is that it basically allows for two different spawns. Because if you don't know, with ARK, after you spawn, there is a wait time on the bed. It's roughly 2 to 3-ish minutes, and then you can spawn again if you die. On bunk bed, you don't have that. It takes it off, and after a person has spawned 2 times within that certain time range, then you have to wait. But it basically gives you an extra spawn. Now, something a lot of new players also don't know, you can just place more beds down. I can place infinite amounts of beds, and it doesn't matter. You're never going to need to run out of, you know, the timer. Just keep putting a ton of beds down and you'll be fine. That's really about it. But yeah, beds. Make sure that you have a bed in your base. I'm telling you right now, everybody messes this up, and it costs them their entire base when they build super far away from a spawn point and you don't have a bed. Then you have to go run all the way back to your base if you can even find it. Put a freaking bed down, I'm telling you. Now, a lot of new and experienced players actually don't know about this method. So let's say that you died from your PT as you were flying, or you crashed and you died whenever you logged back in, and you find your PT, but you're like, oh no, he's too far. You know, you're trying to whistle him. When you're sitting here, as you can see, you're a little too far away from him. But if you just get a spyglass, look at their dino, and whistle it, he listens. At least for the most part, sometimes. If you whistle him through a spyglass, he's supposed to come to you. It does not want to work though. Now, I know for a fact that this does work on ASE, but ASA does not seem to be want to work for this for some odd reason. Technically, this is how you would whistle it. I don't know why this is broken right now. I'm telling you right now, this was literally working a few patches ago. And there it goes. So it did work, but you have to get it at the right spot. And yeah, it's not fully functioning how it should be. But welcome to ARK. It's a buggy nightmare. Things break all the time, so yeah, expect it to happen. But yeah, so technically, on ASE it works perfectly. That has been mastered. On ASA it's still slightly broken, but you can use a spyglass to whistle a flyer, which is super high up. Very important. Something very important is using a bow or a slingshot for early taming. Slingshots can be crafted literally using nothing, and all you have to do is just get some rocks, pick it up, and a slingshot's a little hard to hit stuff up here, but it does work. You just got to get the right angle and the right torque, or I don't know, it's kind of hard to say. But slingshots do work at a close range. Arrows work at a far range though, and bows are very easy to craft. You can craft them very easily. Just got to get the right hits. Now these guys are a little high, so it's probably not going to work up here. But if you get bolas and you kind of just combine all that together, you're pretty good. Slingshots are probably my recommended go-to though, because they're so easy to craft. I mean, you can craft it at level 5, I think. And then when you have a slingshot, you know, load it up with rocks, and that's how you knock out dinos very early. It also does slow dinos as well, which is kind of cool. Sometimes it slows dinos, not always. If you hit them in the right spots. A lot of players don't actually know about that, but it like kind of breaks their legs in a way. But yeah, so you just kind of throw it at dinos. You have a higher chance of it killing a dino though, so you do need to know that. That is the only downside with slingshot, because you're throwing rocks. Now with arrows, you don't have as high of a chance to kill them. Like for example, I got a headshot right there and I knocked him out. Barely though, he almost died there. But yeah, slingshots, really good for knocking out dinos, but do too much damage. Bows with trank arrows, very, very useful. I highly recommend that for pretty much every creature early game. A lot of people mess this one up, and that is knowing the difference between a herbivore and a carnivore. Now a lot of people still to this day don't really know this. But first of all, check out Dodo Decks. That will teach you everything that you have to know there. Not a sponsor, by the way. Phenomenal, just website. But yeah, for example, this is a herbivore. They eat berries. They do not eat meat. And this is a carnivore. They only eat meat. They do not eat any berries. So there's a difference between berries and meat. So the best way to test this is just by harvesting with them. And you'll see he picks up berries. And you can harvest with the Giga by killing things, and he will pick up meat. But the Bronto will not pick up meat from harvesting. So it's a little tricky to figure out, but you just kind of have to learn your dinos. Anything that looks terrifying like this is pretty much a carnivore. Anything that looks kind of nice and friendly is a herbivore. I mean, if you know much about dinosaurs, that's kind of all that you need to know. But yeah, learning them can be tricky, and ARK doesn't really teach you what's what. And there's certain things that you have to passive tame. You have to tame by doing different methods. So there's definitely a lot to learn. I'm going to make an entire video just teaching people how to learn how to tame and what to tame, all the different taming methods, because there's quite a bit of them. Now, for some odd reason, I don't know why so many people do this, but I mean, I guess if you're new, it does make sense, but that is just swimming across a big body of water. Now, it may look a little intimidating at first, but you're like, oh, I can do that. Absolutely, especially if it's something simple like going to there. Well, what you didn't know, most new players actually don't know about this, and that is, well, you can't see anything unless you turn on certain commands, which I'll teach you in a little bit as well. And just know there's always something lurking. There's always a shark lurking. There's always a piranha lurking. Trust me, they're always here. You may not see them at first, But when you're about halfway there, they'll show up and they'll get you. It's not fun. I'm trying to get one to kind of spawn in so I could show you what I mean, but of course, you know, when I'm trying to show you guys something, it never wants to show up. So hypothetically speaking, if you think about it, you're like, oh, I want a shark to kill me. A shark probably won't show up. That's how ARK works. If you think in the opposite way, it's not going to happen. So, a little weird, but welcome to ARK. But yeah, so as long as you stay mostly to the surface, you should be fine. But if you're trying to cross a small body of water, especially after all the sharks have already spawned in and everything, would not recommend doing it because you're never going to make it across. It's almost not possible. So yeah, just don't go across a body of water unless you absolutely have to. Next up, we have plan on dying a lot. Because, well, this is probably one of the most extreme survival games currently out there. And if you think you know you got your stuff figured out, you don't. There's always something lurking around that's going to kill you, and it always will. It's called getting arked. So you could just be, you know, just walking around harvesting, and then, oh no, you fell down into a giant pit. Dead. Or, you know, you could go fall into a pit of lava or something. Dead. Or you could crash from your game while you're flying on your PT. Dead. Or you could run into a base with turrets on it after you just came back from a huge farming trip and lose everything. Dead. So yeah, you kind of get what I mean here. Everything is out to kill you. It's a hardcore survival game. Nothing is here to help you. Simple as that. So even if you're running around in the easy zones, you're going to get killed by a raptor. You're going to get killed by a player. You're going to get killed from lagging off the side of a cliff. It's how ARK is. So just expect the worst and be extremely patient because this game will try to give you anger, and you're going to need to take anger management classes after this. I'll tell you that. If you're new and you're looking for a pretty easy dino to get right away, well, here's a raptor. All you have to do is punch it. And watch what happens. If you just keep punching the raptor, it won't kill him, usually it might, but you can knock out a raptor with just nothing but your fists. As you can see, he's already running away. Most of the time though, they don't even have to run and you can still just get him knocked out. But all you have to do is punch them and they will knock out. It's not going to kill you unless it's a 150. But even with a 150, you're most likely going to beat him before he kills you. So always try to knock out a raptor. Now, I've never actually experienced them running away like this. I usually always knock them out first. I'm actually shocked that he's getting away. But yeah, just keep punching him. And as you can see, he knocked out. It was that easy. Oh, look, another raptor. Let's also knock him out real quick. Yes, I'm in God mode, but I'm telling you right now, I've done this many times and it works. So if you have nothing but your fists and you're like, oh no, a raptor, just keep punching him. He'll knock out. Very helpful tip for anybody looking to get their first dino. And the raptor is actually a great starter dino. They're really good at killing most things. Don't try and go kill something bigger than it though, like a Rex or something. But any like herbivore or anything, they can easily just destroy. This dude's teasing me. But yeah, go get yourself a raptor. They're really simple. Now something that would also help when starting out, if you're looking to get into just farming and starting to get farm stuff, well, is pooping. So as you can see here by holding down T, you have the option to poop and it says not ready to defecate yet, so you can't do it. But it will randomly happen and you'll just poop out of nowhere. When you get this poop, it'll look something like this. And this is from a large animal, so that is the large animal poop, but that is the human poop. I know this sounds really weird for a new player. It's how you do things with farm though. So you could go down the route and get a dung beetle, but for now you could basically use this as fertilizer for your plants. So as you can see, it says 1,000 fertilizer. It will use that first initial poop in there, and you can fill it up with a bunch of dino poop. It says 18,000. It's not a lot, but that's how you get crops to grow when starting out. You can also use a compost bin as well to turn it into fertilizer. All that good stuff. I do want to make a full video on how to just do farming and all, but for the most part, it's relatively simple here. Now, when you first spawn in, you'll probably notice that your settings probably look a little weird, or, you know, that the trees might look a little funky, or the sky is a little buggy looking. Well, go ahead and hit settings, and just go in here and mess with everything. Now, this is going to change based off of your PC. Settings are going to look a little bit different based off of what you have, of course. But the biggest thing a lot of players still, for some reason, don't mess with is these settings. They just leave everything how it is, and they're like, wow, this game looks horrible. Well, ARK has a system built in place that will actually adjust these stats based off of how your PC is to try and build it as best as it possibly can for your PC. So when you first join in, it might be really, really laggy, or it might be really horrible looking. Go in settings and adjust things to however you want it. You can pick from low to epic. I have mine all on epic because, I make videos, everything needs to look great. But you have motion blur, light bloom, light shafts. Copy these settings that I have, turn them off. Turn off motion blur, light bloom, and light shafts. I'm telling you, it's gonna make your life a whole lot better. So you saw what it looked like before. This is what it looks like with them on. It's a little, first of all, the motion blur is gonna give you a headache. Light blooms are a little iffy because, well, it's behind a cloud right now, but you kind of get what it's doing here. It doesn't look the best. Motion blur looks really rough. So go in settings, and I'm telling you right now, turn them off. It will save your FPS. It'll make your game look better. And look at that. Tremendously better just by having that off. But yeah, come in here, adjust your settings, mess with everything, get it to how you want it first. Most people already do this, but for a lot of people don't do this for some reason. Camera FOV, have that up. And you can also adjust more settings in your command panel. I'll cover that in a little bit. So yeah, just mess with your settings and get the game how you want it. Engram points are extremely important when just playing ARK in general. So these are all your engram points that can be found in this little thing that has the 3 hexagons. These are all of your engrams going from level 1 all the way up to 103, my bad. I thought it was 113 for some reason. But yeah, you have all these engrams. It's quite a bit. Now you only get a certain amount of engram points per level. So for example, let me get a level up here so I can just show you. So for example, here's a level at the top of your screen. You can put it into whatever you want, but then it will unlock a new section based off of that level. You only have 8 engram points, which if you can see, it doesn't actually unlock all of these. So you have to be careful with what you are going to be working with. Only unlock stuff that you think that you'll need, but if you absolutely have to, you can always just mind wipe later on and just redo the entire thing again. So it's not really a big deal. Just don't unlock every single thing. Unlock certain things at a time based off of what you want. Don't just unlock the entire row. When starting off, Explorer Notes is so important. Explorer Notes are basically going to get you from level 0 to level 50 in about 15 to 20 minutes. These are Explorer Notes. They pop up in random areas, but they're, they have a strict set, area that they're going to be in. Like this is on the island. This is over in, I believe, West 2. You can find ruins. They look like this, and then most of them will have Explorer Notes. So you have this one right here. I'm just going to go ahead and just fly over to them because I don't want to waste your guys' time too much here. But they're a little tricky to find, but you will find a good chunk of them. I'm also going to be making a video on Explorer Notes. I have a couple videos on it. If you want to go check it out, just look up Explorer Notes, and you should be able to find them. I always forget where this one is, but there is a good chunk of them that you can find. This Explorer Note should be right here, I believe. Yep, here it is. You got this Explorer Note right here. They're all different, and they all actually teach the story of ARK. So if you want to sit down and actually read them, they do actually teach you ARK and what ARK is, how ARK came to be. It's pretty cool. Now, when you get the Explorer Note, if you see in the bottom right-hand corner, this actually helps improve the amount of experience that you are getting, which will help your levels go up as well. So that's 1700 seconds of boosted rates. It's super helpful. Now, when you come over here, you'll find these little tech notes. Now, these are tech Explorer Notes, and they actually give you a good chunk more. When you get one of them, as you can see, it went up by 1,000. Actually, a little bit more than 1,000. So yeah, pretty important there. I would highly recommend getting those. These are important, and they give you a lot more just boost. But the island is a great area just to farm Explorer Notes. You have Extinction too. Extinction is also great. You got Explorer Notes everywhere. Like for example, here's one that teaches you about the Quetzal. It teaches you everything about them. Every single person does this when starting off, so you might as well do it too. Especially if you're on a server that's not really boosted at all. Explorer Notes are pretty much mandatory unless you like to just build slow, I guess. Now, a great way to also get your levels up when starting out is also doing Explorer Notes, but actually crafting items. So for example, if you craft stuff like the cooking pot or even a raft, it boosts your rates quite significantly actually. So here's a cooking pot, and then here's the amount of experience that I'm going to get from that cooking pot. As you can see, it went up by almost nearly 100, which doesn't sound like a lot when I have 10,000, but when you're starting out, that actually gets you quite a bit. And when you upgrade crafting skill, it also boosts how fast that you can craft, that said item. Now, rafts do take a little longer than usual, but you can also put your crafting skill up so it crafts even quicker. But yeah, just craft a bunch of rafts, craft cooking pots, craft just little fiber hats. So just mess around with it and craft stuff until you can see, what gives you more experience for crafting. And then simply just toss them out after you're done, or put them back down and demolish them, take the resources, and then keep making more off of those, things that you put down. It sounds kind of weird, But shockingly, it actually works very well for just getting your XP up and getting your levels up very fast when you combine it with Explorer nodes as well. Now, if you're wondering why the sky looks a little weird or why there's fog and all this, especially underwater, you know how you can't see anything, and that is terrifying. So there's two major commands that I recommend every new player uses, except with new updates, it kind of messes up the colorations, which I don't like that they did that, but it is these. So you're gonna want to hit tab on PC and do r.VolumetricFog 0. Then go ahead and hit enter, and as you can see, it didn't make a huge difference up here, but it made a major difference underwater, and now you're actually able to see. A lot of new players are always wondering why they can't see anything underwater. That's why. Then you can turn it back on by just putting it back up to 1 or put it back down to 0. It's actually very, very helpful. I highly recommend using that one. And then you have clouds. You're like, oh, I don't like the clouds. I want them off, especially when it gets foggy down low and the clouds like to sit low. You just do r.VolumetricCloud 0, and that will turn off all of your clouds. This also does help underwater a little bit, not much, but for the most part, it makes your game look a little bit nicer and more calm, if that makes sense. It does mess up some colorations in certain areas though, so you can have it on or off depending with how your settings look and how you like the game to look. But those two settings are extremely important for just major gameplay, especially if you're trying to battle somebody in the sky, you're getting all caught up in the clouds and you can't see him. Just turn that command on. It works on any server, by the way. Now you're probably wondering, oh, I accidentally unlocked too many engrams and now I don't have any available engram points to spend. This is a bad example, but just imagine that that happens. Well, there's actually this thing called a mind wipe tonic, and this can either be spawned in or you can craft it in a cooking pot or in an industrial cooker. Simply just craft the mind wipe. You might have to look up the recipe depending on how your server is, and just consume it. By consuming it, it will basically erase all of your levels so you can redo all of your stats as well as all of your engrams, and then you can fix everything with how you want it. You can only usually take one every 15 to 20 minutes, depending on what server rate that you're on. It could go up or down, but then you can actually adjust your settings properly based off of how you want them. Very important thing that a lot of players do not know, and then they get kind of scared about. They're like, oh, but what if I put levels into here? Yeah, just craft a mind wipe tonic and it takes out all of your levels. Now, by all means, please stay away from redwoods when starting off. It might sound really weird because you're like, oh wow, this is a nice, beautiful environment with some nice, tall redwood trees, right? Well, there's certain things lurking around in the redwoods that will scare you. I'll just say that. They like to jump scare you, and it's these things called thylos. These little cute, cuddly kitties that you'll see around here like to sit up high on trees and pounce you off of birds or pounce you off of your tame. And it scares the crap out of people, especially if you didn't know that they exist. Now you know that they exist. So make sure to keep an eye out for them or just stay out of the redwoods. Now to counter this, simply go up high in redwoods and be about at this limit of your trees, and they're not gonna really pounce you. I mean, they can try to jump up to you, but they can't get you. As long as you're moving in zigzags like this, usually around as well, they can't really get you because they only really go in one direction. They can't really copy your way of moving. So as long as you're just careful and you keep your eyes out for these guys, you should be fine. But just know, they're scary. And there's a reason why I'm not showing them, because I want you guys to go find them on your own. I'll just say that. Now let's say that you got to get a PT saddle and you're a little bit confused about how to get keratin or chitin for that. Well, along most beaches and just kind of out in the woods, you'll come across little bugs, or these little things. These are called trilobites. Now there's different kinds of bugs. This is just one of them. They hang around in the water. Well, if you hit them and you kill them, they actually give you chitin, and they're very, very useful for getting chitin or keratin. Simply just kill him, and then you can harvest them. Now, they are a little broken right now because ARK is very broken with certain bugs. I don't know why, but ARK just refuses to fix a lot of these problems. There you go. You have to just keep hitting until you mine them. But yeah, see, I got 13 off of that one trilobite. Now, these guys are trying to get away because I just killed their friend. So you can keep hitting them, and after you kill a bunch of them, you'll get a bunch of chitin for it, and you can finally craft yourself a saddle. You also do get some black pearls. Those are very useful later on, so definitely keep those. But yeah, it takes about 75 chitin for a PT saddle, and then I mean, there you go. Then you got a PT. You can do this the hard way by killing turtles as well, but I don't recommend that because they don't always give you keratin, and they're just a lot more of a pain to deal with. Now, one thing a lot of new players don't know, and this is a very important one that you are going to need to know after you farm a lot, and just transfer stuff and all that, is transferring back and forth to inventories. So for example, here is your Rex's inventory. Now when you walk up here, you usually are probably wondering, well, how do I transfer? You gotta drag it over one by one. No, you don't. Simply look at an item and hit T. Just hit T on it and it will transfer. Or up top, you can do transfer all. Hit that button. Are you sure that you want to transfer? Transfer all. You can do this back and forth, or you can hold down T and it transfers all of them. Probably the most important one. If you also want to drop it out of their inventory, hold down O or just hit O. So if you hold it down, you can see it drops all the items. Now, if all the items are on the ground and you want to pick them all up at one time, just either hit E for one item or F for all of it. Pretty simple, but a lot of players mess this up and they don't know how to do it, and they get aggravated because it takes too long. Now, a lot of players don't actually know this, but mountains, especially on starter maps like the island, the center, and all that, actually have your main metal sources on them. Now, yes, these mountains look very intimidating, and this is the volcano. It is a bit of an intimidating one to climb up it, which is why you need tames, of course. But these mountains, especially the cliff sides, have metal. This is what metal looks like now. It looks very different than what it looked like on ASE. Simply walk up to it and you can harvest metal. It's not going to harvest instantly like that. It's only different because of how I have my settings. The metal looks different than rocks. It's pretty easy to kind of spot them out because they do look a little different. So yeah, if you're looking for metal, go to most cliff sides and for the most part, you'll find a decent amount of metal. But on newer maps, this has changed a little bit and you don't find them as frequently on the side of mountains, but still is pretty frequent for most maps. Just go to most tall mountains and you'll find a lot of metal. Now, when building your base, it is crucial to set it up around how your dinos are. So if you don't like to use cryos and you're on PvE, I highly recommend doing something like this. So for example, you got your base right here, you got your Indy Forge on there, but you're like, oh, I don't know where to store my Rexes and all my other dinos. Well, technically Rexes can't fit through dino gates, so just ignore that part. But you could store all of your dinos in a little dino pen behind your base. Now, this is mostly safe for the most part, other than at the top. Some dinos can attack your Rexes, so I recommend building a bit of a bigger pen. But for the most part, as long as you just build your base around how your dinos are, you shouldn't really have too many problems. Like for example, I got my Meguna in here. He's chilling. Nothing's gonna really attack him other than maybe an RG, but RGs don't spawn over here, so you should be fine. Got your PT up on the base. You can also bring your PT inside your base if you absolutely need to. But yeah, you kind of get what I'm trying to say. Build your base around your dinos. That way it is more comfortable and you can move more comfortably. Everything's a little bit more smooth. You have room in back here. If you just came from a big farming trip, you can land in here, put some dinos, raise some dinos as well. Just make sure that you leave room for your dinos, because that is a big, crucial, important role in ARK. Keep everything that you get from drops. This may sound kind of stupid. Now, if you don't have to wait, don't do this, obviously. But keep everything that you get out of supply crates, loot crates, all kinds of stuff, because you can actually use it in the indie grinder. Now, this is a horrible example. Wow, this might be the worst drop I think I've ever seen on ARK. Well, don't keep your items from this drop. Wow, that drop sucks. Let's find a different one. All right, here's a better one. I believe this is a blue drop right here. Hopefully this has something a little bit better in it. So let's access this one. So yes, here's a great example. First of all, you got mutton. Can't really use that, but you got a primitive pike and an ankylo saddle. Now, this may sound kind of stupid. Oh, but so why do you keep all this? Well, let me show you. So let's go ahead and put this down really quick. Bad example, don't do this out in public. But this is an indie grinder. Now with your indie grinder, you can go ahead and put things in here, and you can actually turn it into just materials. So you can grind selected item, hit that button, grind selected item again, and as you can see, from these two items, I got 157 hide, 104 fiber, 12 ingots, and 4 wood. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you collect everything and everything from drops, well, it kind of adds up. So let's grind all 20 of these. As you can see, 300 ingots, 100 CP, and 32 ingots. Now the grinder only gives you 50% of the item back, so it doesn't give you your full material back, but still 50% is pretty good compared to nothing. Just saying, extra materials are always good. Next up in your inventory, you'll notice you have all these tabs up here. Well, one of them is called the tracking panel. This is tracking for anything that you're taming or anything that has been tamed, like your dinos, and you can track them back to you if you're lost or the dino is missing. Simply just select it like this, go out and look around until you find them. Now, it doesn't always pop up, but it does pop up on the map. So when you're on your map, as you can see here, it pops up and it says Rex. It says my Rex is over here. So when you go fly over there, so for example, let's go look. I just need to see which direction to go. So let's go follow that direction. And when you get close to them, it usually pops up on the map about your dino, but not always. So yeah, like for example, my Rex is technically right there, but it didn't pop up. So let's go back in here, and this doesn't always work. Now when taming stuff, it will work. It will pop up instantly. But yeah, so let's go ahead and try to track, and yeah, it's not popping up technically, but for any dino that is being tamed, it will instantly pop up and will show up in this panel. So if you ever get lost, or you want to see what his torpidity is at, or you want to see if he's ready for some more food, this is what to use. Next up, we have learning the creatures and what they do. It is crucial to learn every single dino on ARK. There's a lot of them, there's over 300 different dinos to learn, so it will take you a bit of time. But learning all the creatures and what they do will save your base tremendously. It will also teach you what is a good dino that you should have based off of your needs and what you like. Don't go out there and just tame some random dino. Well, actually, if you want to learn dinos, technically go out there and tame some random dinos. But I just highly recommend just taking your time and just sitting down, learning the abilities, learning what they all do. And again, like I said, use dodo decks for that. Pretty important. Now for PvP, this is extremely important. It also is important for PvE, but more important for PvP. That is the industrial cooker and knowing what recipes are what. Now inside of the industrial cooker, this is going to be different based off of how your game is and how your server is. It doesn't always show these little panels right here. But when you go under consumables, crafted food, you'll see all of these different kinds of recipes. For example, medical brews are amazing for healing you if you ever get low, and it pushes your health up instantly. Energy brews, well, it's for energy. You have stuff like the Killian soup, you have stuff like Enduro stew, a shadow steak, which is good for kind of just boosting your rate if you're trying to snipe people, that way it doesn't sway around as much. Or you got something like battle tartar, which helps give you buffs. Or you have cactus broth, which actually does help make wildlife notice you a lot less than usual. It doesn't make it totally there, but if you're trying to tame something, you know, with a passive tame like a mantis, cactus broth will save them from aggroing onto you, so then you can tame them. Very important, just learn all of these recipes and learn what they do. You can literally just go in there and look at them and it'll tell you what they do. Super important. So yeah, got these, and you have kibble as well. Kibble is used for dinos. We go back, there's also vegetables like sweet veggie cakes. Crazy important for boss fights, just saying. But yeah, just do your research on all of your recipes and learn what each of them do, so then you know which ones to have. But just don't ignore recipes. Now, something that I actually learned more on the recent side of things is that if you don't manually poop every, couple hours or so, and your food bar turns gray, it will actually consume food at a 2x rate. I didn't even know this until a while ago, but yeah, if you're always wondering, why is my food going down so much faster than normal? Well, that's because you need to manually poop. It's a little weird, but I didn't even really know that that was a thing. But I also play on boosted servers, so I never really have this problem, to be fair. So yeah, this only really happens when you're in certain environments, like if you're in the cold for a long time, or if you're in the heat for a long time. I don't think it happens just in a normal environment, but if you have your fortitude up, you shouldn't really be running into this problem at all. Another thing that new players 100% do not know about ARK is that dinos actually don't take fall damage. So this is a bad example because I just realized that there is water here. So if you're on a dino when it hits the ground, the dino will take fall damage. But if you are not on a dino when it hits the ground, the dino takes 0 fall damage. So here's the thing. If you fall off the side of a cliff, don't jump off just yet. Wait till last second, then jump off of the dino, which saves him fall damage and only hurts you by a couple health. If you do not hop off and hit the ground, it will most likely kill your dino. So yeah, definitely do that. Do not ignore that. It is very important. And always just never let it fully hit the ground, and then you'll be safe and it won't really hurt you or anything. Now there are certain dinos that don't take fall damage, like a Meguna, a Maywing, a Procoptodon. There's certain dinos that don't really matter for that. So just do your research on those kind of dinos, but yeah, always hop off last second. When starting off, there is a lot of maps to pick, and depending on when you're playing, there could either be 7 maps out right now or 13, possibly even 14 maps. But the map that I recommend starting out on is the island. The island is probably the simplest map. It is the most calm map, and relatively everything's not that hard to do. Now the island is still a pretty big map, but when you put it next to other maps like Astraeos or Ragnarok, it's very confusing and it's very big. So learn the island first. I'm telling you right now, you need to learn the island. It has all your basics. It has explorer nodes. It has a volcano. Has a little snow area. Only thing that is lacking is a desert region, which is why you have other maps like Scorched Earth. Also be careful there because that map is very dangerous. So start with the island and then kind of work your way up to the other maps. There is a lot of content for you to explore, so don't rush over each map. You actually sit and explore them all because there's a lot of hidden gems in most maps that you'll never see if you skip over them. Now, like I've stated earlier, I was gonna go ahead and teach you guys about FPS help. So first off, go ahead and type in stat FPS, depending on what platform that you're on, and it should say your average frames per second on the right middle-ish kind of. It's a little bit small to see, so you might not be able to see it. But for example, right now, it says I'm sitting about 90 to 100 FPS. Now, to help fix this, there are a lot of commands that you can use. For example, we have show instanced foliage. Now what this does, before I enable it, I'm gonna go down here and show you what it actually does. So you see all this grass here, let's go ahead and enable it. Now foliage doesn't always work, you know, on most servers, but if you're on single player, it removes every tree and every rock that is here. The grass still stays about the same, but you can see, now you can see all of it. Bit of a cool little Easter egg, but not totally a good one to use. It just helps a little bit. Another one is r.VolumetricFog 0, which I already taught you that, and then r.VolumetricCloud.0, and as you can see, FPS is now sitting at 140 to 150. It goes up that much just from those two commands. It is insane. Actually, I'm sitting at about 160 and it's hitting 170. Yeah, so you can see major difference. Now this one is very important too. It is grass.sizescale, and then you just put 0. It lags for a second, but look, all of your little individual grass pieces are now gone. And actually FPS it's stabilizing, 180-ish to 190, going down to 170. But look at how everything looks. You can actually see, and this is very important for PvP, as people can hide in the grass, make sure to have it off because then you can see them very easily. Now another good important one is gamma. You can put gamma down, you can put gamma up pretty high. It just depends on where you are, or if you're in a cave or something. Gamma is something that you're gonna use every single day, all the time. But yeah, I'm currently sitting at about 200 FPS now after everything was finally enabled. And there are a lot of commands that you can do. I'll have one in the description of this video. I have it in the description of every video. Use any of those commands that you want. Don't enable them all at once though. Use them one by one to just learn what each one of them do. And it will help your game run tremendously better. Even if your PC isn't the best, just enable as many commands as you want until your FPS is running about 40 to 60, because then you're able to actually play. So again, for anybody who has a PC that's not really the best, use the settings in my description. I'm telling you, it makes a huge difference. All right, now this one is actually very important that a lot of experienced players still don't know to this day, and actually I didn't figure out until about 3 years into playing. But let's say that you're on this ledge and you normally, well here, let me make it realistic. You normally will hop off automatically on the right. You're like, oh no, I fell. Well, here's a simple thing to make you hop off on the other side. Now holding down A or D, and then depending on which side that you're on, it will dismount on that side. So that was with holding down A, this is with holding down D. So again, I will show you. If you hold down A, you will jump off on the left. You hold down D, you'll jump off on the right. And just to show you, I am controlling this. It's not just randomized. But yeah, then here's A. So yeah, super important thing a lot of people don't know about. This is really only helpful if you're built on a cliffside where you don't have much room to hop off. Definitely do that, because it will save you from having to waste a grapple to get back up, or from just falling off the cliff and dying and losing everything. And finally, the last one, we have loot drops, cave drops, ocean drops, and in-game boss drops. Now there are a lot of different kinds of loot crates and things that you can find. The first one being regular supply drops. These are the giant beams in the sky. They go from tiers from white all the way up to red. Now if they have rings around it, it also gives you way better gear than the regular one. So these are based off of levels as well. So if you are a low level, you can't get something like a yellow or a red one. You have to go for one of the lower tiers like white, green, blue, and possibly journeyman, which is purple, but that's kind of like level 45-ish. But yeah, you always want to get those though when starting off. And now they're a lot better on ASA than they were back on ASE. So I recommend getting them, but they're not 100%, you need them, just saying. Then you have cave drops. Now cave drops are these little tiny crates which can be found inside of caves. Pretty much every cave has a couple of them. Always look for them. And ocean drops also look the exact same. They're just found underwater. Now these give you some pretty phenomenal loot, except they don't always give you phenomenal loot. They'll give you really good blueprints for like a saddle or like a weapon or something. Very important, do not skip over those. If you see one, go and get it. Lastly, you have in-game boss drops. Now this can be Ice Queen, this could be the Lava Golem on Ragnarok, or it could just be your main boss fights. Now your main boss fights give you stuff like Element, which is used for just high tech tier, which you're probably not going to even touch if you're watching this video for a while. But you have the other things, you know, like the Ice Queen and all, which actually drop pretty good loot. Now, after you kill them, you will be greeted with all these nice drops and stuff for you to get, and you can take it, but they look just like cave drops, except they give you a lot better gear than usual. So yeah, highly recommend doing all this. There's a lot of drops that you can get, but it is completely optional. It's up to you, except when you start going into late game, you need to farm the good drops. But yeah, hopefully out of all 50 of these, I was able to teach you most of the beginner things that you need to know about ARK. There's quite a bit to still cover. I just figured I would kind of toss out all of the things that I wish that I knew, because there was a lot of stuff I wish I knew whenever I played for the first time, and it took me years to learn them. Hopefully this video was able to teach you the majority of things that you need to know. But anyways, I hope you guys did enjoy. It would mean the world to me if you could please hit that subscribe button. We are almost at 100,000. But anyways, thanks for watching.